removed. I wish those who unsettle you would emasculate themselves. Now that is some shows you the importance of what Paul is trying to do and trying to teach them to see. And so here's what I would offer to you this morning. There is no mud in the water. We are called, like Paul, to preach the truth, to call you to freedom. And the only freedom you're ever going to find that will last is the Spirit. You will not find freedom in your bank account. You will not find freedom in your position at work. You will not find freedom in your friend group. You will not find freedom at the bottom of a bottle. You will not find freedom. Accomplishments in sport. You will not find freedom even in your relationship with your spouse or your children. You will find freedom in one place and one place only. That is freedom in Christ. Look at verse number 13. For you were called to freedom, brothers. Now watch what he says next. Only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. Then he sums up this conversation that he's been having about the law by saying this: for the whole law. Here's what happens when someone uses their freedom, as it were, to satisfy their flesh. It becomes a competition with the people around you. Instead of looking to God to determine whether or not your life is a success, you to you. And you say, wait a minute, they've got a brand new car, so you know what we need to do? We need to go get us a brand new car. Oh, look, they added on to the pool in. You see, that's what naturally happens because that's the world's point of view. The world's point of view is to look at your walk and say, as long as you're keeping up with the people around you, you're walking just how? Want for you. Lifestyle. Ever. Enough. They've asked some of the wealthiest individuals on the planet over the last several decades, they've always asked them, satisfied. And you know what almost every single one of them have said? There's no amount where I would be satisfied. Now, these people have billions, with a B, billions of dollars in the bank. And the question is asked, how much money do you need to be satisfied? And they all say there's no amount. They've asked individuals in the business world who have achieved the position of president of the company or CEO of the company, are you satisfied? And they always say, never satisfied. Always trying. You're the president of the company. Well, if I'm the president of the company, I want to be the owner of the company. If I'm the owner of the company, never. And yet God tells us through his word in Philippians chapter 4 that for those that live in step with the Spirit, for those that live in Christ, for those that dedicate their lives to putting God on the throne, you will have the peace that passes all understanding. Later on in that same section, Philippians chapter 4, he talks about being the God of peace will dwell in your hearts. You see, God is promising things and God is telling you things that the world literally cannot provide. They're on the record for being unable to provide them, and God is on. Well, Paul's going to explain that. In the final moments of this lesson, I want us to look at these two steps here. Are walking in the Spirit, you can now look at Paul's explanation of the two sides, and it makes better sense. Verse number 16. But I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. I never have that fear when the Spirit's in control. I never have that fear when God is in control. I don't have any fear at all. When God is on the throne, I have no fear about whether or not God will do the right thing. He wants to make sure through inspiration that every person that reads this knows what he means. So he follows that conversation that we sometimes sadly read as a negative. Because the first word in verse is the word but, meaning that what he just said was so he's going to talk about the positive. Well, what's the positive? Is the desires of the Spirit are against the flesh. They are opposed to one another to keep you from doing what you want to do. But if you're led by the Spirit, you're not under the law. Here we go. Sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, dissensions, divisions, envy,